And tonight, a super housing ministry, a super proud Barrett grandmother and a weary EQC claimant. But first, in the last hour, we have a verdict in a high-profile Auckland murder trial, and it's not guilty. The father had a string of convictions to his name and he'd spent time in prison, and when he got out, he'd regularly beat his wife and children. In contrast, his son shunned his father's lifestyle, held down a regular job, loved his family, and had never been in trouble with the police. All that changed one night last year when his father came charging out of the dark and punched him in the face. A jury at the High Court in Auckland has just found the son not guilty of murdering his father after he stabbed him 6 times. His lawyers said he'd acted in self-defence. Well, Edward Gay's been covering the trial and joins me now in the studio. Edward, what was the reaction like there?
Well, as soon as these verdicts came down, as soon as the foreman read out those verdicts, the son wept as the not guilty verdict to murder and then manslaughter were read out. After Justice Duffy told him he could leave the dock, he went straight into the public gallery. Many members of his family were there to watch those verdicts come down this afternoon. He immediately went to his partner, hugged her, hugged his baby, and Justice Duffy told the jurors actually shortly afterwards, he actually had to leave the courtroom, he was overcome with emotion, and Justice Duffy told the jurors that she had never presided over a trial with so much emotion.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about the background to the case? Earlier, before the stabbing, earlier in the day, the father had assaulted his wife, and that was the defendant's mother.
Yeah, that's right. And the wife told the court at trial that she had, this sort of all started, she found text messages on her husband's phone from another woman, and the pair had an argument over this. During that argument, the wife told her husband that the woman was ugly, and he responded by telling her that he'd make her look ugly. He then punched her, kicked her while she was on the ground, and she eventually managed to get out of the house, taking their young baby with her in the pram, and she made this half-hour walk around to the son and daughter's home in this condition, blood all over her face.
And that's when the father, the man who was killed, followed her.
That's right. He actually visited his son and daughter's house 3 times on this night. The first occasion he actually assaulted one of his younger sons, accusing him of stealing coins out of his car. And on the third though, this was when the fatal stabbing took place. The third time he came round, the family had actually locked him out of the house. They closed all the doors, deadlocked the front door. But that didn't stop the father from roaming around the house, trying to put his hand in the windows, kicking on the front door. He was yelling threats, including that he would smash up his son's car that was parked outside, that his son needed for work so badly. At one stage, the son told police in his interview that he actually picked up a knife at this stage because he was fearful that his dad would actually come through the door, and he didn't know what his dad would have in his hand. But eventually the family threw out a pair of car keys to the daughter's car, and the family, or various members of the family, actually saw the father go down the driveway. They thought he had gone, and it was at this point that the son says he felt he needed to go out and check that his car was okay. He went outside and he found out at that point that his father hadn't gone. His father had actually come back onto the property. He was waiting on the deck, and he described being rushed, if you like, and punched in the face. He later told police in this DVD interview that was played in court that he had no opportunity to run away. Everything happened so fast. He said his father already had him. And in her summing up today, Justice Duffy actually told the jurors to think about whether the son was taken by surprise, how dark it was outside. It was pitch black. Officers first on the scene said who was the aggressor, what opportunity the son had to actually stop and assess the situation and maybe do something different. She also told them that they could take the family's experience of domestic violence, there's some 20 years of violence, into account, as that showed what fears the son had and what the son knew his father was capable of.
And the jury obviously accepting that self-defence case. So look, thank you so much for that, Edward Gay, reporting to us there on the high-profile murder trial, which a not guilty verdict has just been delivered.